Hello, everybody. Welcome. Welcome to today's webinar on Getting Started Website Building 101. My name is Catherine, and I'm here in Montreal, Canada. So it's great to have you all here from presumably all around the world. A couple of little notes. We are recording the webinar, so don't worry too much if you miss something. You will be able to rewatch it later. And also, please feel free to ask questions. We have a Q&A, question and answer panel in Zoom, so please feel free to put your questions there. We won't be able to take any raised hands, so you can leave that feature aside. I will try and answer some questions as we go, but I will also choose some questions to have my colleague Andrew answer live. So we probably won't be able to get to all your questions because there are usually quite a few. If we don't, please feel free to reach out to us after wordpress.com/contact, and you'll reach one of our happiness engineers, and we'd be glad to answer you there. Finally, I also wanted to mention that you will receive an email after the webinar within the next day or so, and that'll include a link to the recording. We'll also ask you a few questions about how you enjoyed the webinar. We always appreciate feedback on that. And it will also include a discount code if you would like to purchase a WordPress.com upgrade. So feel free to look out for that. And I also want to mention that we do have other webinar topics. We're running them every day. So feel free to check out wordpress.com/webinars and see if there's something else that might interest you, and feel free to sign up. And they're always free, of course. So now I want to turn things over to my colleague, Andrew, and he will take it from here.
All right, let me get my screen shared here. All right, so my name's Andrew, and I am a happiness engineer working for WordPress. So I spend all week with users helping them build their site. And today I'm just going to take you through the basics of starting a new site, your first steps, and we'll look at all the tools you'll use as we go through. So here I am, I've just hit Add Site over in my menu, and I am going to create a shiny new WordPress.com site. And so now we are looking for a domain. So I am going to go with Gabby's Lawn Services. This is going to be my dog's business site. And so just to get started today, I'm going to use this free domain that pops up with the .wordpress.com ending. You know, for your site, you could use a .com or a .services as long as you're going to use one of our paid plans. But for me, I'm going to select this free site. And so we get some plan options here. And again, just to take you all through the basics, I'm going to be starting with the free site here. And we can see that it's just working on getting the basics set up. And one thing that I kind of always will do when I'm working on a site is I will copy the address and then open that in a new tab just to give me a way to look at the site that I'm working on. So the sites come in kind of super generic right now, and we'll start kind of getting the site built out. So over here, we're just in the WordPress dashboard. And so we can see my site has been created. And if I click Get Started here, then we kind of get a list of some tasks that we can start going through. So right up first, we've got the name your site. So if I click on that, I'm taken to the tool over in Manage and Settings that we can see over on the left to give my site a title and a tagline. So let's see here. Whoops. We'll go with Gabby's Lawn Care. And for a tagline, I'll say she works hard so you don't have to. And if I save my settings here, I can now use the link over here to return to my home page. And also I can just come to the live site and hit reload, and we can kind of already see the changes that I'm making here. So coming over here to look at the site, we get a drop down for our pages and posts. And so looking at the pages, it's coming in automatically with a blog, a contact about, and a home page. And here in just a moment, we're going to look at how we can get into and start editing and customizing those. It's also coming in with 3 kind of example posts. And so I want a way for those posts to appear on my site. So I'm going to go over here to Design and go to Customize. And so now I can go to Homepage Settings. So in this case, I do want my homepage to display a static page. If I just wanted it to display a listing of my posts, I could use the button here. But in this case, I will keep the homepage, and I'm going to say all of my posts should appear on my blog page. And now I can save those changes. And while I'm here in the customizer, I can do just a little bit of work with my menu. So if I come to menus here and I come into primary, I know eventually I'm going to want a services page. So if I click on add items here, then I can add a new page. And so I've typed it in and I click add. And so now we can see that I've got services over here. And I'd like to reorder these items on my menu a little bit. So I'm going to click this blue reorder button. And so let's move blog down a bit. And as I move it, we can see it's changing over here. And let's move services up 1. So now I've got home, about, services, contact, and blog. And I like that order. I think that's good. So I'm going to go ahead and save these changes. And so the customizer I'm working in is kind of where your site-wide settings get built from. So we'll build the content of an individual page or post and the editor that we'll look at shortly, but the site-wide things such as the title and the menu kind of all get built from here. And so what I've done is I've also come back to this main menus area, and if I click on social here, then this theme has a place where we can display a social links menu. And so under the menu location, I'm setting this menu to display there. And we can see it kind of comes built with Facebook and Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, and WordPress. And so I can come in here to Facebook, for example, and I could put the URL for my personal Facebook page that I want this link to direct to. Same thing for, if I have a Twitter account to add, or maybe if I don't have something, I can just remove it. And Instagram and Pinterest, I can also add additional things. But for now, I'm just going to leave these links as they are. So I'm just going to save the changes. And so now going back to my live site, just reloading it, we can see the changes I've made to my menu up here. We can see the social links are starting to come up. So already we're kind of starting to come along. Now, leaving the customizer, let's go take a look at our home page. So I'm going to click on pages here. And so now we see a listing of all the site's pages. I could add a new one with that button if I wanted to. But in this case, I want to go into and start editing my home page. So if I click on home, and so I don't actually love this layout for my homepage and what I'm wanting to do with this site. But what I can do is I've got this change layout over here. I'm going to click on that. And now this does warn me that this will overwrite any changes I've made and all the content on the current page. So you want to get your layout settled first before you start customizing it. So in this case, I'm not losing anything. So I'm going to go ahead and change the layout. And so now we see on the left, we have all kinds of pre-built page layouts. And I kind of like this one for the site. So I'm going to use this Morden layout. So I've selected it here, and I'm going to click on my blue Use Morden Layout button there. And so this is just importing in kind of some generic information and blocks for me to get started with. So right off the gate here, if I click into this picture, I can now click on the word replace, and I'm going to go into my media library. And so this thing comes with a couple of images just pre-done. And for this image, I am clicking in this top left here, and I'm going to go to our free photo library. And so now if I search for lawn care, you can see a lot of just free stock images come up. Let's just search for lawn. Here we go. I think this would make a fine image. So I'm going to now copy that to my media library. And I'm going to insert it into that block at the top of the page. And so this is a cover block that we're in. We can see that up here. And what that is it's a way to get an image on the page that we can also put text over top of. So I'm going to change the Morden Mountain Movers to Gabby's Lawn Care. And then I've got a text for a paragraph. I could put the tagline there, but just to save time, I'm just going to remove it for now. Later, I could come back and use that little plus icon to add text back. And I don't want this about us. So I'm going to click on this button, and then in the three dots over here, I can now remove that to just take that away. And so now we've kind of got this image at the top, kind of draws attention, looks nice. Clicking back to the image, let's set the focal point maybe a little lower just to get more of the yard in there. And so I'm just using the tools over on the right here to kind of change what the image focuses in on. And so now I've got these three really cool blocks down here, kind of all laid out in a nice column. So I'm going to make this kind of be about us, and for professionalism, I can say services. And now for expertise, I'm going to have contact us. And so then I'm going to use the pre-existing images here, and let's replace this with an image of Gabby. And I'm just dragging an image into my media library here. So here's Gabby after a hard day of working in the yard. We can insert that in. And so then clicking onto the block, I've got this little hyperlink. And so I'm going to want this to link to the About page. So if I go to the live site and I click on the About page, this is generic right now. I'll need to go back and update this. But what I can do is I can go ahead and copy this link. And now going back into the editor, I can add it here and hit our little arrow here. And that's going to link this image to the page. I am going to do the same thing with the words about us up here. And so that's got that going. And so then I can do the same thing for services. I can add an image and link both the image and the page title to the services page. Same thing for the contact us here, just kind of following those steps. And in these cases, I'm not actually going to use any text below these images. I'm just going to let the images and the title speak for themselves. So I'm going to remove these. And so now we get down here to the strategy, growth, and success. I'm actually just going to remove that. And we've got a spacer here. I can remove that as well. We'll keep that little line break. And so I do like this about us. I can say, get my address entered here. I can link to a Google Maps for our business address. Getting in touch, I can put in an email for people to contact us right on the page. Same thing with the phone number. Again, this is for a theoretical business, so I don't mind sharing this widely. And so now, if I update the page here, we can go and check out the home page. And so we can see what it looks like thus far. Eventually, I want to get my services images updated, and it'll look a little extra nice if I can make them all the same size going across there. So that's some edits I can do. And I'm going to want to go in and edit this text and add some links. But that kind of gives you the idea of you know, how we get this page started and how we can start editing it. And so going back to here, let's just leave this page alone. So I can go over here. I've updated it, so my changes are saved. And so I can go over here to the W to go back to my listing of pages. And let's just take a quick look at the About page. So this is great. You know, obviously not the image we want, but I can click over here and let's replace that image. We'll go back to the media library. And I'm just going to bring in another kind of fun picture for this one. And we will insert that in there. And so now I can say, you know, I've been working in lawn care since, you know, 2010. And I can go on and add further information. Just for kind of design purposes, I've got some lorem ipsum gibberish text pulled up here. Just kind of helps you see what a page will look like when it's got the content. You know, really I would want to be typing out what I truly want here. But so I'm keeping this page short and sweet. We've got an image and text, so then I can update that. And so going back into the live site, if I click on my About page, we can see the changes I've made. And additionally, we can also double check that these links are working. And they are. So that's definitely cool. And so coming back out to here, over on the left, if from site, I go down to posts, we can see the listing of the 3 posts that the site kind of automatically came with. We can see those on the live site on the blog page. Reading those, I think, can be interesting and useful, but eventually you probably might want to get rid of them to write your own content. So we can click on these 3 dots to trash them. And then we can add a new post here just to kind of get right back into the editor to start creating that content. And then the other thing that we can look at is if I go over here to design and then look into the themes, what the themes are doing is they are telling us or telling the site where to display the title, where the menu goes, where the page content goes. So for instance, in the header theme, we've got the lawn care title and tagline over here on the left, and then the menu kind of going over to the right of them. Let's just say, for instance, I'd like those to be more centered and not sharing the same line. I can come here to the Red Hill theme, and I am just going to activate that. Now it's going to change my homepage layout and make my current homepage a draft. I'll need to address that. But if I go ahead and activate Red Hill, I'm not losing any content on the site. I'm just going to have to go back in and change a few things. So let's go to the edit homepage here. The theme has kind of brought in its own custom homepage, but I'm going to bring my page back. So I've got a home and I will publish it again. And now I can come over to here and set this as my home page again. And going back to the site, we can just kind of see the changes that just the simple theme change has had on the overall look of the page. So you can change themes freely without losing your content. You may need to do some work in the customizer to get things looking like the theme's demo. But it's great to be able to just jump back and forth like this. Oh, and now I see I've got a misspelling here. But anyway, that will conclude my presentation, but we can do some question and answer time now as well. Catherine?
Thank you, Andrew. So we do have some questions. I want to start with a question about excerpts. So
Yes.
Yeah, there's a question about, what do we use excerpts for? And the example this person gives is that when they publish a poem, about one stanza of their poem is getting displayed, but they only want a shorter piece, about 2 lines displayed, and then the person would click to read the whole poem. So can you talk a little bit about how to accomplish that?
Yeah, sure thing. So in this case, I'm going to look at it as if it's a post. Same tools should work in the page as well. But so kind of automatically, the site will take about the first 50 to 60 words of a given poster page and use that as the excerpt. And additionally, if you're just sharing to, say, Facebook, for instance, Facebook is automatically going to pull in about the first 50 to 60 words that it will use along with the featured image when someone shares a link to the article there. So the excerpt tool, we've got that over on the right, that allows us custom control of what the excerpt will be. So in this user's case, we could just make that become the first 2 lines of a poem. And then everything else, for say the Facebook share would be a read more. And then the other thing, let's just add some text to this page. We'll do a couple paragraphs. Whoops, here we go. So let's say, for instance, that on the blog page that I only want this first paragraph to show and not the second one. I can click my plus icon here and search for a more block. And so what that is going to do is it will break the page on the blog listing to only show that plus a read more button. So if I come over here now and I go to my blog, we can see that's just showing this first paragraph here. And then to get to the whole thing, I'll click on the continue reading. So that's kind of some different ways to use the excerpt and the more block to control what displays, depending on how the post is being shared.
Thank you. So we have a couple of questions about changing colors on a site. So I was wondering if you could talk about a couple of ways to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. So depending on the theme you're using, there are sometimes some controls within design and customize. So we could come into here, and Red Hill that I'm currently on doesn't have that control within this menu. If your theme does, there would likely be a listing here called colors and backgrounds. But so let's keep with this theme, but go look at some other ways to control things here. So let's just jump back into this example post. So if I click on global styles, that's where I can choose my heading fonts and my base fonts. So no colors there, but as long as we're talking about customization, I thought I'd throw it out. But let's look at, if I come into this paragraph block, then I get some font size settings over here. Again, just another customization. So I can make this larger if I want to. And then if I click on color settings, I can both control the text color and add a background color to this paragraph. So if I'm, let's say we want this a dark gray, now we can use a white. That can kind of give that paragraph some additional pop. So that's another way of controlling colors. We've got this control for a lot of things of our blogs. You know, buttons and all sorts of stuff, we can actually control the color. And within the settings over here, if we jump into the custom color, then I can use a hex code to declare a color, or I can also just kind of search around and find the one that I want. That blue on black is kind of fun, so I'm just going to leave that. So that's a few of the ways. Additionally, for some items, if the site is on a premium plan or higher, there might not be a built-in way to change the color of all elements, but that's something we can do through the use of some custom CSS coding. So you could come into, say, a chat with us or email us and say, hey, I would like to change the color of my menu to be, you know, maybe I want all of the words to be in red, and then when they're hovered over, it goes to a purple background. And in that sort of case, we could write some code to make that happen for you. And then once we were to give you that code, you can come to the customize over here under design and go to additional CSS. And if you're on a premium plan or higher, you'll just have a space to paste that code in and save the changes. So there's multiple ways to change the color depending on what you're wanting to do, what your theme is, what your plan is. If you can't find the then obvious answer yourself, you know, feel free to come in to chat with us and we can help you out with your specific instance.
Thank you. So we had an interesting question about how to have widgets not appear on every page. Would you like to share?
Oh, yeah, that's fun. So widgets are coming from the design here, and then we go to customize. And jumping into the widgets, this theme only has widgets and a footer area, and currently nothing is showing. But let's say that I want to pull in, oh, I don't know, let's do a contact info and map. So I can kind of get that going, and we can see it's coming in here, and I can change my address and my phone number. I can edit the hours. So all that's customizable. But the question here is visibility. So we've got this button down in the bottom right. Once the, you know, the widget is dropped down, I can click on visibility. And let's say I just want to show this on the home page. So I can go show if page, and then is front page, match all conditions. And so now if I save that change, then we should see over here that when we go to the home page, we can see the widget now. but going to About, it's not there. Likewise, it's not going to be there on any of the other pages as well. So the visibility tool can really give us complete control over what is shown. You'll notice there's a plus icon here. So we could add additional pages to specify, what page it does show on, and it won't show up anywhere else.
Thank you. I think that is all the time we have. That went by really fast. Thank you so much, Andrew, for that. And thank you for all the great questions. I want to reiterate that we did not get to all the questions as expected, but please reach out to wordpress.com/contact and we'll be very glad to help you. And I also wanted to remind everyone to look out for your email. That'll include a survey about how this webinar was and a discount code if you'd like to purchase a paid plan, and also a link to the video. Another little reminder that you can check out our webinar schedule for upcoming webinars at wordpress.com/webinars. And that's really it. Very, very pleasure to have you all here today. And I hope to see you at another webinar soon. Thank you very much.